Café and Networking Podcast promotes successful business owners, business experts throughout the world. I'm Tom Reaoch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people from my podcast studio in Brazil. And today we talk with Mindy Kantor. She's joining us from Tampa, Florida. She's founder of Mindy Kantor LLC, and Mindy is a coach, consultant, and writer. Works with clients to help cultivate their personal brand, to establish customized transformation plans, and she shows how to communicate, position themselves more effectively for successful professional advancement during times like these with quiet quitting and quiet firing. So Mindy, what are some of the daily practices to manage stress in times like these?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Tom, for that introduction. I'm delighted to be on your podcast and share some thoughts on ways to manage stress. What I'm going to do is take us through 4 C's to minimize stress, intensity, or pressure. But before I do, I just kind of want to set the context. One of my favorite quotes I have visible on my desk is from Eckhart Tolle, who wrote, "Stress is caused by being here and wanting to be there." So what that quote means to me is whenever I start experience that unwelcome frenetic energy or where my mind is racing, I know I'm out of alignment for the very reason the quote indicates. And so the 4 C's is really about acknowledging and witnessing that tension that's growing. And the first step is just discontinuing what I'm doing and breathe and stop future planning and focus. And so I can tell you a lot about what causes that, but it's really the end result is under 2 minutes. Just by doing that, I can feel better physically and emotionally, and then can refocus and stay present in what I'm doing. So in terms of the 4 C's to minimize stress, intensity, or pressure, the first C is center. So when you feel that building intensity in your body, see it as a sign to pause and breathe and ask yourself, how do you feel? How do I want to feel? And then remind yourself, all will be okay. Because when you stop your automatic survival instincts from taking over, you can focus on that here and now and take one task at a time. And with practice, you'll create new habits of catching yourself before entering into a reactive or negative spiral, which will be very beneficial for your state of mind. So that's the first C.
And next?
The next C is clear. So remove that clutter from your mind and physical space. As you know, it can be so liberating. I recommend one tool that I really recommend that is founded in kind of change management practice is a stop, start, continue method. And I have a link and a video tutorial on my website on how to put that together with a template. And what this method highlights is literally what you need to stop doing and what you can start doing. So for example, we talk about the quiet quitting. Often that comes from just being exhausted or overwhelmed. And what is happening is we're being invited to so many meetings. So take the time. A way to clear is block your calendar. If you are multitasking during a meeting, that's a sure sign that maybe you don't need to be in that meeting. So look at that, have some boundaries, go back to the person that is hosting and see if you need to be there. Also, just kind of looking at what you maybe haven't used that's sitting on your desk or in the area of your workspace, especially if you're still working from home, and just take the process of removing it, throwing it away, donating it. And again, just that clearing that clutter is so cathartic. So that's the second C.
The third?
Categorize. So once you have clarity on what you need to do and what you want to do, which are both really important, you can organize your tasks in a more manageable group and prioritize. So setting realistic goals to do the work and build in time for activities that really replenish your energy, such as meditating, eating, exercising, or socializing. On my website, I am certified in several different assessments. One that's a free assessment, but the tools that come with it is part of a coaching. It's called the Sparketype. It was created by Jonathan Fields, and it looks at what energizes ourselves and what depletes our energy. And that often is tied directly to your work. There's actually, those meetings can be draining. The work that you're doing may be draining. And instead of needing to leave your job, you can maybe look to reinvent it with your manager just by knowing what really energizes you. And for the things that deplete you, providing and creating some strategies around it so that you build in ample time, because often we're trying to do too much.
And then many times we're being asked to do too much. Well, many times we're not even being asked. It's just given to us, right?
Yeah, that's so true. And I find that often people just accept it versus going back and just saying, I hear this is a priority. Let me just kind of go over what else I'm working on and what should I remove right now so that this can be the number one priority.
And that gets back to your second point of clear and clutter, because what I've seen in my corporate experience, you're talking about an agenda full of meetings. Many times we don't choose those meetings. Those meetings have been chosen, and they just show up in a plan that you should be there, or you are whatever you are. And so all of a sudden you are in the midst of what you may think is clutter, but that's all sort of mandated.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about the mandate is I think that on the positive side, people really try to be inclusive. And so sometimes people aren't sure who to have in a meeting. And if there's someone that is concerned with, not leaving anyone out or not being considered non-collaborative or any of those other important buzzwords in corporate speak, what you end up having is 10 people from the same team invited to the same meeting. And those are a sure sign, A, that becomes a very expensive call. Right. But two, do you need to be there for the full duration, or can you come just for 10, 15 minutes and report status or answer the questions that are geared toward what you specialize in? And what I think happens is that people become very overwhelmed, so they're not able to take that extra time and really look at their calendar and strategize with it. And to have those conversations, it doesn't mean just delete. I mean, go back to the people for those reoccurring. But the ones that I really see the sure sign is when you feel like you can multitask and you choose to multitask, because that means you're not getting anything out of it.
You're tasking.
Yeah, exactly.
You're sweating and not even breathing. So exactly. What is number 4?
The number 4 is complete. So whether it's hourly or daily, set intentions and take the steps you need to show up in a calm, focused, and productive manner. This is going to be unique to everyone. Some people like to just veg out, and that gives them a center and calm. Some like to just take a deep breath. Some like to write. Whatever, you can, vent on a page if you feel like you're going into a meeting that's going to, raise your blood pressure, but just something that sets that intention. I'm going to show up at my best. Right. And then silence your phone and email. So let's just say you're not in a meeting and you now finally have a block of time to actually do your work. Silence your phone, shut off your email, and just finish one priority at a time and cross it off the list. I know there's stats out there, but multitasking is not effective, right? So if you just really focus on that one priority at a time, and if you feel a lot of resistance, just stop it and move to the next one, and come back to that one later. So really just completing, and nothing, additionally cathartic. It's just, checking off that you've really accomplished a couple of things.
Sometimes it's, I don't want to say it's simple, but we just need to breathe. We lose our breath when we're walking into some meetings we're not prepared for, or even wondering why we're even there. But I really take that as the advice. Just breathe. Just shut up and breathe, and oxygenate your body.
Exactly. And you also mentioned a really good point. We should never be really going into a meeting without really knowing what our role is. So that's another sign to just say, like, hey, do I really need to be here if it doesn't make sense that I know what I'm supposed to do?
I agree with you, but I've been in meetings where, so what am I doing here? But that's once you've stepped in the door and you were invited, and then all of a sudden, questions come. And that's part of preparedness, I guess. That gets back to the center. That's we really need to know why we're there.
Exactly.
If we don't know why, maybe we shouldn't even go.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is either everyone's different, whether they're a night person or a morning person.
Right.
But I always like to look at the end of the day, what is my schedule tomorrow?
Very good.
In advance,
Mindy, thank you for being here. How can our listeners find you?
Yes, thank you for that question, Tom. On mindykantor.com, MindyKantor.com, I have a library section that has a lot of the tips and tools, and an assessment section to read a little bit about the different ones that may really help people understand a little bit more about themselves so they can take the next steps in their career to help them get to where they like to.
Very good. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
And to our audience, it's Mindy Kantor, MindyKantor, and her site is mindykantor.com. You also find her on LinkedIn. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information on their site, focusmi.com. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.